Hi, everyone, and welcome to this webcast, Tax Automation Tools That Make Staff Smile and Stay. This 50-minute CPE webcast is brought to you by CPA Practice Advisor Magazine and SafeSend, a maker of cloud automation and secure communication tools for tax and accounting firms. My name is Jason Bramwell, Senior Staff Writer for CPA Practice Advisor, and I will be your moderator today. I joined CPA Practice Advisor in early June after covering the accounting profession the last 9 years for Accounting Web, and most recently, Going Concern. Before I turn things over to our presenter, Joe Robleski of SafeSend, I wanted to go over a few things about how you can earn CPE credit or IRS CE credit on this webcast. This webcast is 50 minutes and qualifies for 1 credit of either CPE or CE. To earn that credit, you must stay with us for the entire 50 minutes. For IRS CE participants, we'll give you information on how to provide your preparer tax identification number at the end of this webcast. During the webcast, we will display 6 polling questions. To qualify for receiving the 1 CPE or CE credit, you must answer 3 of the 6 questions. If you have difficulty answering any of the polling questions on screen, please place your answer in the Ask a Question box and it will be recorded. At the conclusion of the webcast, you will be presented with a post-event survey evaluation form. Filling out the form is optional. However, you must submit it, even blank, as it is a required part of receiving your CPE. Once you click the Submit Evaluation button, you will receive an email to the email address you used to register for this event from CPA Practice Advisor regarding your CPE credit for this event. Please note that we can give CPE credit for multiple people at the same location. So if there are others in your office who would like to attend this event, please have them do so now. If you have a question for our speaker during the webcast, please enter your question in the Ask a Question box provided on your screen, and our speaker will try to get to as many questions as possible during the presentation. Questions not answered during the webcast will be addressed by the speaker afterwards via email. And one final note, on your screen, there is a little box that says 0 questions answered, or it might say 1 question answered. Oftentimes, attendees think this is a counter for how many polling questions they have answered. This counter, though, doesn't relate to the polling questions. It relates to answers that have been sent through the Q&A. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, our speaker today is Joe Robleski, Senior Product Enthusiast with more than 8 years of experience working in tax and accounting technology. He leverages his expertise in areas such as client success, learning and development, and sales to help new and existing customers make an immediate impact in their firms using the SafeSend suite. Since 2012, he has held many roles at SafeSend, but mostly enjoys helping firms design workflows that best complement their specific needs. We are grateful to SafeSend for making today's event possible and for enabling us to offer a free CPE credit to our attendees. I think we're ready to begin. Take it away, Joe.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody here at Practice Advisory. Today, we're going to be covering tax automation tools that make staff smile and stay. That is our plan. The specific agenda that we're going to go through will be, we're going to talk about the history of our company and kind of where we're headed and how we got to the point of these automation programs that we have. We're going to talk about the audience, try to get to know you a little bit better. We're going to look at a few different things as far as frustration. The whole reason that we're here today is because some things are causing frustration. They seem to be things that are happening at a lot of firms throughout. It's definitely common points of frustration, clearly. We're going to look at kind of ways to understand new tools for automation. And we'll look at intuitive tools for simplified client experience. We are going to see a little bit of a demonstration of some of our SafeSend suite, so you can get kind of an idea of what we're trying to do, what the intent is with our programs. And as Jason mentioned, if you have questions, please chat them. We have Alina here today answering questions on the chat. I will try to get to as many as I can as well. If, again, you haven't seen an answer to your question by the end, just know we will get back to you via email. So you should have a question very, very quickly. Now, for the first part here, we're going to jump right into one of those polling questions, getting to know you. So we're going to start here with this polling question, number 1.
Oh, sorry. There we go. The first polling question today is, who is our audience today? Is it A, tax, B, audit, C, bookkeeping, D, other, or E, all of the above? And so far, looks like tax has taken the lead with all of the above coming in second.
Great. Yeah, tax has really dominated that one. Wonderful. That's a little bit different than it has been in the past few of these. This is great. All right. So as a thank you to the audience, I know it's hard to find time to be able to attend events like these and webinars like these. We really do appreciate your being able to be here. And as a thank you, we will be giving away 3 Yeti Ramblers. Please check your email for over the next 24 to 48 hours. 3 of you will be getting a request for a mailing address so we can get that out to you right away. Now, Jason covered a little bit about me, so I'm going to move right into SafeSend, the company itself, kind of the background of the company. So what we've been trying to do since the company started is finding ways to help tax and accounting specifically. So we're the market leader in tax return workflow automation and client collaboration technology. We'll talk a lot more about what that means here coming up throughout today. We also have recently introduced the SafeSend suite, which we'll be going into a lot of detail about as well. And this is designed to automate every client touch point across the tax engagement process. And I'm going to be saying that specifically several times today, and I'll be pointing out exactly what I mean by that in a few different places, one coming up shortly. Now, as a company, we started in 2008. The founder, Steve and Andrew, introduced a program called TickTie Calculate, which is still around. It is an Adobe plugin that is designed for preparing work papers. We then introduced a secure file transfer program that is now called SafeSend Exchange. It is still in existence, and it's going to be going through a huge upgrade here in just a couple months, and it's going to be added into the SafeSend suite. We had, right after SafeSend Exchange began, we introduced a standalone e-sign product. It's gone through a couple different names. It is now part of the SafeSend suite. It's called Signatures. That really, what those 2 programs led to was a lot of feedback from firms saying, can you combine these things? What can you do to get a return to your clients? How can you automate that for us? So we worked on that almost immediately from introducing the Signatures program initially, and we created a program called SafeSend Returns, which is designed to automate assembly of tax returns and help you with delivery, helps with K1 distribution. There's a lot of robust reporting available. We have automated reminders. There's a lot that you can do with this program, and we'll talk a lot about that. And we've been really fortunate enough to win the CPA Practice Advisory Innovation Award, and we just won our 4th, which is astounding. It's really amazing. That was very recent. We have 4 of those, and we've also been very, very fortunate with the customers that we've had. We have over 7,000 customers, and that's over 60% of the top 300 firms. Now, I mentioned earlier one touch point. I'm going to talk about this a lot. So what we want to provide for you and for your clients is one place to go throughout the whole year, regardless of what you're doing. And part of what we're offering is 7 years of storage. There are no storage fees of any kind. And I need to update one thing. There we go. We fill client copy requests in one click, no password needed. That is probably something that you're going to be hearing a lot today too. We do not have your clients ever create accounts for accessing their returns or their organizers or whatever it might be, because they're just going to forget their passwords or they're using the same password for everything. We use something else, and we'll go through a lot of that today. We'll show you exactly how that works. K1 distribution is part of what we offer. We have automatic reminders for vouchers and estimates that go out throughout the year. You are able to receive e-file forms back signed electronically within minutes of getting them out. You don't have to worry about doing any dragging and dropping of signature fields along the way. We know where people need to sign. We'll handle that. And then we have our SafeSend Exchange that I mentioned a moment ago. And that is for sending encrypted tax documents to banks and more via email. And that is something that's going to be sort of enveloped into our suite product here within the next couple months. Now, that's going to actually bring up our next poll. So our programs, SafeSend, the SafeSend suite in particular, works with a few different tax softwares. CCH Access, CCH ProSystem FX. We have UltraTax, GoSystem, and Lacert. And so the next polling question is coming up right now. If you wouldn't mind opening that up, is going to be about that. And just remember, Lacert is also an option in here. Please put other for that if you have it. I will turn that over to reading the question now. Sure.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, the second polling question, as he mentioned, is which tax software does your firm currently use? A, Access, CCH. B, ProSystem FX, CCH. C, GoSystem Tax, RS, Thomson Reuters. D, UltraTax CS, Thomson Reuters. Or E, other.
And if you do select other, if you want to chat what software you use, that'll help us certainly.
Yeah, it looks like other is on top right now, followed by UltraTax CS from Thomson Reuters.
Great. And we do have direct integration with UltraTax and GoSystem, so that's a good sign.
Yep, looks like how it's turning out.
All right, perfect. Then I'm going to move along here, and we're going to go right into really the material of today's presentation, and it's going to start with common points of frustration. We speak to all of our clients, all of our customers often to find out what they want us to do next, what needs to be made better, what needs to be added, all of that. And what we find are a lot of similarities with frustration that firms have been running into traditionally. And so we're going to go through some of those items right now. So here's kind of what we're seeing or what we've seen over the past few years. And it's really just filled with outdated processes that filled with manual tasks that haven't been updated in years and can cause anxiety and burnout among staff. We want to find ways to help eliminate that completely. So today we're going to explore what does and doesn't work for tax professionals and review the benefits of using a suite of automation tools and solutions that are built specifically for the tax and accounting industry. One of the main things that firms run into as far as an issue is portals. We're going to talk a lot about that here in a moment. But again, we want to reduce frustration for the staff and for your clients, as that certainly complement each other there. And in this webinar, we're going to talk about the SafeSend suite and how a secure, intuitive, and guided online tax engagement experience for clients can elevate your firm's image, can fortify your relationship, and make both staff and clients smile, which seems to make everybody smile. Now, I just was about to start going into portals, and we have always espoused the desire to just eliminate portals. They're not helpful in most situations for most of your clients. They do have some benefits, obviously, but password fatigue is a big deal. Portals, a traditional portal is very difficult for clients to use. And we found that clients who are only accessing it once a year, they're going to be calling you to find out to have them reset their password, or they'll be asking about what their username is every year. And often they're using the same password, which is basically like not using a password at all. It's very frustrating for clients to be able to get into their portals for accessing. And then by the time they call you with those frustrations, you're very busy. They're already very upset at that point. And it really just slows down processes, and everybody gets exasperated very quickly. We are going to move into the next polling question before we look at kind of what happens with portals and what that brings up. So the next polling question is number 3.
And that polling question is, what percentage of tax return packages did your firm send digitally or a PDF to clients this filing season? A, 0 to 25%, B, 26 to 50%, C, 51 to 75%, D, 76% or more, or E, not available. Looks like 0 to 25% is leading right now, with 76% or more coming in behind.
Great, thank you, Jason. Let's see what we can do about improving that. So what I'm going to move into next is kind of what happens with portals that causes frustration. So I touched on it just briefly here, but we're going to go through what we call the portal circle of frustration. And these steps involve first staff needing to send client tax returns and 8879s through the portal. That's where it all begins here. And the client gets an email. They click on a link to log in and download their files, and lo and behold, they forgot their password. So they send an email back to the staff. Staff is really busy. Middle of tax season, they often just try to get that email forwarded off to IT so that they can take care of this and get that password reset. And what we have heard often happens, IT staff will reset the password, but it fails. So clients try to get back in. They are unable to often. And so now they're getting more upset. They've had to go through all of this already. And when they come back in with reaching out to the staff, whether it's phone or email, they just are tired. They're a little exhausted from this, and they just want to know why you can't just email their documents to them. Then your staff has to stop everything that they're doing, and they have to spend time going into that return, breaking up the PDF often, getting it reassembled and collated, potentially, password protecting or encrypting everything, adding watermarks, marking where people are going to need to sign, all of those items. And that takes a lot of time. It could be 5 minutes, but it could be 30 minutes too. Each return can be certainly a bear of its own. From there, sending it out rather than through the portal, if you send it as an attachment, their client receives the PDF files, but then they want to send it off to the bank or a mortgage provider or a third party somehow, and they don't know how to get rid of those passwords because they don't know how to edit a PDF generally. So they want you just to send it. They send an email asking for an unencrypted version, which is where you're at a loss. You don't know what to do with that. Should you send it without encryption? Absolutely not. But what do you do? How do you get documents to your client safely and securely, and with the expectation that your client will be able to access them reasonably without having to do very much? But we want to make sure that it's actually them that's getting in there. So again, we're trying to reduce their frustration, that remote client experience, which is now almost nearly all encompassing. It's not enough just to have tools for that collaboration. The win is in the sophistication of the tools and combined with the ease of use. So it's that marriage between the two. It's got to be sophisticated. It's got to be simple. If it's not simple, it's not going to get used. Post-pandemic, clients have embraced remote. It is a little surprising. A lot of people thought that clients weren't prepared, were convinced that clients were not prepared for going electronic, and they are. Not only did they do really well, they want more of it. That seems to be where clients are headed. They learned how to function remotely, and they are seeking remote digital collaboration tools. Now, the challenges that come with that. This for getting just a basic return off to a client. Traditionally, obviously, if you can have a client come in and you can have that folder ready and you open it up and you can go through it, that is the best way to cover that information. You know that you're going through it correctly in the correct order. They're understanding everything. They know where to sign. They have everything they need in front of them. But now when you're going with electronic, it's a lot different. If you're using an email attachment, clients struggle accessing encrypted files like we just talked about. You lose the ability to provide instructions and be able to present those logically to your client. Signing e-file forms is difficult if your clients receive those electronically because they often have to print, wet sign, return a piece of paper. Getting those instructions to them and making sure that information is very easy to follow and that they can get those back to you it can be difficult. Client portals we talked about. Portals can be sort of a mess. They're great for those clients that are accessing them often. They can be very easy to navigate. They can really do a lot. But industry experts are finally accepting the fact that less than 35% of your clients are going to be those clients. It just doesn't happen very often. Now, there's one other way that we haven't yet talked about for getting returns to clients electronically, and that is using an e-sign vendor on its own. So those solutions can be incredibly helpful. They really just solve one requirement. You can get 8879s, e-file forms, e-sign very quickly. But what about the rest of the information? Are you including that with the documents that need to be signed? And if you are, how are you presenting it? And how are you ensuring that your clients are understanding that information and going through everything in the right order? And then what do you do about corporate entity returns, K-1 packages, and the like? And that's going to bring us to our next polling question, so we can sort of set up. We'll talk about e-signing in a lot more now. So here's polling question number 4.
And polling question number 4 is, what percentage of 1040 8879s did you send with an e-signature request this past busy season? A, 0 to 25%, B, 26 to 50%, C, 51 to 75%, D, 76% or more, or E, none?
Should really update that. That should be 1 to 25%, I would think, because none's already handled the last one. Sorry about that, everybody.
And it looks like that 1 to 25%. Yep, still 1 to 25%, followed by 76% or more. Oh,
great, wonderful. I like the 76% or more. That's what we want everybody to be at that level, certainly. So e-signing, as we mentioned, it can solve a lot. There are a lot of questions you need to consider before you start using that as your solution, if that's what you're going to be doing. First, can your clients do it? Are they technically able to e-sign? Do they have the right tools, the computers, smartphones, tablets, whatever they might need? Another thing to really take into consideration for most e-sign vendors is, do you have email addresses for both primary and spouse? And are they unique email addresses? This is something we'll talk more about in a little while, but with most e-sign vendors and for most e-sign solutions, they need to be, for a married filing joint return, they need to be unique email addresses, and you need to have both ahead of time. That's not something you're going to need with us. One thing we always recommend, whether you end up using our program or any new program, tell your clients, please, send a heads-up letter to just ensure successful adoption. It is a really big deal to set your clients' expectations in advance with whatever software you're using. It is only going to be beneficial for you. You want to make sure that your clients know that you're using this program. What does it look like? How does the process work? Is it safe to click on links? Those kinds of things. They're looking for that from you. Now, e-signing does, as we mentioned on the 2 slides ago, introduce new process problems. And that's really going to be, how is the return going to be assembled and collated and presented to clients? In what order? Is everything going out? Are some things going through a portal or secure file transfer, and then just the e-file forms are going separately? Do you want to present that many steps to them? How are you getting that information to them? And how does it change what you've been doing in the past? So don't get too excited about e-sign. It's great. It's a wonderful tool, but it needs to work within other tools altogether to really solve anything. Now we're going to go through this e-sign circle of frustration, so you can see, kind of very similar to the portal frustration circle, what happens, what could go wrong, and what we've heard from firms from their experiences. So very similar. Our staff needs to send that 1040 client 8879 for e-signature. Maybe it's a joint return and they don't have the spouse's email address. They're done. Often, taxpayer and spouse share an email address. For most of the time, that's it. You're done. Can't do it. Then you need to make sure that your staff knows where your clients need to e-sign. So for most e-sign solutions, you have to drag and drop signature fields and date fields and title fields exactly where they need to be on every e-file form, FBAR, everything. And you might miss some. We handle that. We automate that process completely. We know where people need to sign and on what forms. Firm sends 8879 separately from tax package rather than in the natural order. How do you know for sure then that your client has reviewed what they need to review? and again, in the right order. We want to make sure that that information is presented clearly to them. Let's say you get through all of that, and then you send the return, and the email goes into spam. E-sign solutions, those emails are coming from a different email address generally. We'll talk more about that in a little while, but if your client isn't prepared, like with that heads up letter I showed you on the last slide, for that email address, they might not even know that they're getting an email. They might never see it, and you don't know what's going on with it. If it's in spam and they don't even think to look for it, it might as well never have been sent. Kind of a weird, so why it's not moving along there. There we go. Taxpayer can't answer KBA questions. We're going to talk about what KBA is here in a little while. It stands for knowledge-based authentication. It is an IRS requirement. So if your clients aren't able to answer those questions, they're done. They're not allowed to e-sign that tax season. They have to wait until next tax season. They have to take care of those forms manually for this year. A spouse doesn't realize they have to look for an email to e-sign separately. Part of that KBA requirement is that primary and spouse have to use their own email notification to go through the process of e-signing. And if the spouse isn't aware, or the second signer isn't aware, maybe their communication isn't as solid as it could be, that they should be waiting for an email, they aren't even looking for it. Taxpayer e-signs, but spouse prints. How do you gather the KBA information for the person who was able to e-sign? And how do you track that? How do you update your system so that you know that you have both email or both signatures on there? And I don't know if you guys are seeing that too, but it's kind of bouncing around on my here. So I'll get back through this. I apologize, everybody. Seeing it's like a stroke, like a disco ball here. Let me see if I can fix that. In one moment here. Sorry about this. Yeah, it just keeps going back. Well, I think we get the general idea, and I'm going to move to the next slide. This could be an issue. All of these things are frustrating. Your PowerPoint doesn't move forward like it should sometimes. That can be certainly frustrating, but it's not the end of the world. E-signing can be difficult for your clients. We have tried to do a few things to take care of that, so that it's an anomaly for you to not be able to get your e-file forms out to your clients and get them e-signed very quickly. We'll talk more about that as we go through. So overall, getting returns to your clients, getting e-file forms signed and returned back to you, it's a mess. There are just too many different options, too many things your clients need to be looking for coming from different directions. That's what we want to eliminate. The client collaboration, if you can get everything kind of funneled down so that it's all coming from one place, the client is comfortable with it, they can access everything securely and easily, that's what you want. And that's what we offer. And that's going to bring us to our next polling question, actually. Polling question number 5. If you don't mind starting that up, Jason, thank you. Thank you.
Sure. Polling question number 5 is, what was your biggest frustration with e-sign on 8879s? A, didn't know the spouse's email address. B, KBA questions were too difficult. C, it was confusing for clients. D, clients were unsure what to do. Or E, all of the above. Looks like all of the above, and clients unsure what to do are the biggest frustrations, Joe.
Great. Thank you very much, Jason. All right. So let's now move out of frustration and into solutions. So we're going to move next into understanding new tools for automation. And the first thing you have to prepare the firm for and staff is, how do you approach new technology? What you want to accomplish is really a few things. You want to standardize internal firm processes, shrink tasks, especially those manual tasks, so that you can save time, you can reduce human error, and return a more positive ROI. You need to make sure your technology offers remote client experience collaboration, so that they can do things from wherever they want to be. They don't have to make time to come in. They shouldn't have to anymore. You want to be able to do more with less staff. And that is Also with retaining, you want to make sure that you're finding ways to retain current staff, which is difficult. You want to attract younger staff, which is really difficult often. And you also need to use these tools to empower staff. Now, empowering staff is probably the most important thing here, because this is not only going to help with retention of staff, but it's going to help attract other staff, new staff. Sorry, because when your staff is empowered and they're confident and they're happy, your clients generally pick up on that, and they feel good too. With the current state of the markets today, post-pandemic, retention and recruitment of staff is more than just challenging. That's an understatement. It can be very difficult right now. One touch point, again, this will come up a few more times today, for both internal and client-facing, helps with your staff. If they're dealing with one dashboard, they're learning how to use one program, they're confident with how it's using, they're comfortable using it, they can be up and running very quickly. That's what you really want, to deal with one vendor, really. Now, that whole engagement lifecycle can be broken down really into these three tax department processes. We've got the first step for gathering information, and that engagement letters, organizers. How do you get all of that information in? We have tools that do that right within the suite. We have an organizers program that will take the organizer coming out of your tax software. We will automatically convert it to fillable form fields. You can, on top of that, add an engagement letter or any additional documents that you might want to get e-signed. And you can deliver those to your clients in batches if you want. They can go out one at a time or in batches. You can even add your own questionnaire. Very simple. So your client, when they get an email from us about their organizer being ready, they can start filling it out on the screen in front of them. They can sign whatever you want them to sign, and they can even drag and drop source documents immediately back into it. Prep and review, the next part. We have Tic-Tac Calculate to help you get all of that taken care of, and then we have SafeSend Exchange for transfer of documents throughout the year. And then, obviously, assembly, delivery, and e-file. This is our focus today for most of it. And that's going to be SafeSend returns. That's the automated tax return assembly and delivery in 4 minutes. So we want you to be able to go from having your return, your client's return ready in the tax software to delivered in 3 to 4 minutes on average, regardless of the complexity of the return. And that is for 1040s, 1041s, 1065s, 1120s, and 1120Ss, for all of those. That's what our customers are averaging, 3 to 4 minutes per return. Now, what do you need to do as a firm to get returns ready in general, and what can we do to help with that? The assembly process on your screen here is showing you kind of the general way that you break down a return. What are you trying to capture? What kind of information do you need? How do you have to pull these returns out and break them down? So you have to break returns out into filing instructions, tax return, e-file form, vouchers, K1s, invoice, all of that in here, whatever's included. You need to be able to handle assembly and delivery simply and easily. Assembly process, we want that to be faster for you. So we'll take care of automating that. ERO signatures, those are automated. They can be, well, we have a system set up so that your return signers can have an image of their signature automatically placed onto e-file forms exactly where they need to be before the return is delivered to the client. They don't have to do anything. We take care of putting signature fields in. You don't have to worry about that. And we have automatic reminders so you're not chasing them. We can even remind clients with an automatic payment reminder, and that's a reminder going out for each of the quarterly due dates. K1s can be distributed, and you can get paid. So if you include an invoice, you can set up, and you have an online payment vendor or processor, you can put that information into your SafeSend returns account, and your client will be able to see their invoice and click pay online and pay you before they even start reviewing. Now, here's what we do. We create new technology designed to automate those manual tasks that often assembly and collation. And we do this because it's frustrating. It's time consuming. It's exhausting. It's mind numbing. Automation can help firms handle client loads with the same or less staff. You can increase your clients. You don't need to increase staff, but you can. You also don't need to reduce staff. So even though it says less staff, we don't mean to get rid of people ever. It's just hard right now. Retention is difficult. We're not suggesting reducing staff ever. We are suggesting being prepared for staffing shortages, though. Staffing retention, the way to do that is to build confidence in your staff. They need to know that there are better things for them to be doing that they will be wanting to do. You want to eliminate repetitive and mind-numbing tasks through automation. That encourages a better client experience. The more responsibility somebody has and is willing to take on, the better they feel about the job they're doing. And it reduces all those manual, time-consuming tasks. Now, on the client side, we need to make sure that the remote client collaboration experience is simple, but they have to do certain things. Now, as we talked about a little while ago, clients are now often called now new digital natives. These are clients who you maybe thought weren't prepared for going electronic. They are. Not only that, they want to. A lot of people were suspecting that some of their older clients wouldn't be able to go through and handle electronic delivery of tax returns. Not the case. We have numbers recently, we just got these back in from last tax season, that of the returns that were sent out for us, over 35% of them were completed. Things were e-signed by taxpayers who were over 65. Nice and easy. If they can access their email, they can do some online shopping, they can get through their return with us. Now I'm going back to the kind of the breakdown of the return here to talk about what clients need to be able to do. They need to be able to review their tax return and approve it. They need to sign e-file forms. They need to be able to make their payments, distribute their K-1s, and they need to pay you. So we want to make sure that all of that is presented to them logically, clearly. It's intuitive. We want it to be a nice flow so that they don't even really notice kind of as they're progressing through all, the sophistication behind everything that they're doing. We want it to be simple. So we're combining here with what a standard tax vendor e-sign solution would offer. It would be, as we talked about earlier, getting things e-signed as one send to a client from one email address, and then sending the tax return through the portal, possibly another email address, and different ways of getting information. We don't want your clients to have to go through that. We want them to go through everything as kind of one fluid motion, nice and easy. So everything should be coming together. We'll take care of walking them through the steps in the right order so they understand what's happening. We also, again, we have an organizer process. That module is presented right here, and it covers all the things I talked about earlier with automatically converting PDFs and organizers to fillable form fields and allowing for e-signing and sending back of source documents. We also have an extensions module. We have the signatures module, allows for sending documents out anytime for e-signature at any point of the year, as one-offs or in batches. And then we have a secure file transfer option that's going to be added in there shortly. Now, with the SafeSend returns, this is kind of the tax return part right here. We are automatically handling all of the collation. You don't have to do any of it. We'll break down returns into all of the sections you see on your screen in a matter of seconds. And we'll do it correctly. And we'll place the fields. We'll have automatic reminders. So there's a lot less on your end that you need to do. Here's what we offer. It's these 5 S's here. Standardizing assembly and delivery, regardless of return type. Streamlining reporting and tracking. We track e-file forms. It's very clear what's going on with them. We notify you when they're completed. You can even help clients. We have a client assistance area that allows you to help clients very quickly. You can look at a copy of what they're looking at. You can request a screen share. You can update estimates. We want to shrink first the assembly time. We want you to be able, again, to get your returns from the tax software to your client in 3 to 4 minutes. We want to simplify the client's experience so they're actually going through the process. The less they have to think about, the more likely they are to complete everything. And we want them to be able to access their returns from anywhere, their organizers from anywhere, extensions, and everything else. But your staff should be able to do that too. So seamless cloud access enables staff to work from anywhere and clients to be served remotely. Now I'm going to move next into a quick demonstration of the program. And we'll just go through a few things here. I'm going to go through, as soon as I pull my screen up, I'm going to log in. I'll show you what it looks like to deliver a return. And we'll go through the client experience. And we'll look at organizers too if we have time. So I am going to share my screen here. And just a moment here. And Jason, could you confirm that you can see my login screen?
I can. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. So SafeSend returns, this is the login. This is the login for the whole suite, of which SafeSend returns is sort of the anchor. It's a web-based program. There's nothing that needs to be installed. The implementation process takes under 4 hours to get your whole staff, get your account created, and get your staff trained. It's very simple. We have reporting on the front end. So when a return has been when it's been reviewed and it is ready to go to the client, and you've uploaded it, you're always going to first come in here and you're going to see a list of returns that need to get to your client. I'm going to go through what that upload process means here in a moment, but we have direct integration with UltraTax and Go system. So what that means is that returns can be transmitted directly from those two tax softwares when you are when you're printing a return. In the window where you're printing the entire return in the client copy area, there's a button that can be enabled that would say send to SafeSend. And then using CS Connect, you can finalize that and send as many returns over here as you want. And they will show up here in this first report. And then you just need to go through a QC process, which we'll look at in a second, and then deliver the return. Other tax software, Lacert, Access, ProSystem FX, and even if you wanted to upload with Go System or UltraTax, you can upload returns to. So we have options no matter what for getting returns in here. And again, it's 1040s, 1041s, 1065s, 1120s, and 1120s. When a return is uploaded, I'm just going to very quickly pull in the CCH one here. You can upload any return in any of those return types that I just mentioned, and it's going to upload to our server here. When I click submit, it's going to go through the assembly and collation. That returns right here. The status, if you noticed it, it was set uploaded for about a second, if not quite a second, and now it says ready. That return is completely assembled and collated. It generally just takes a couple seconds. The next step is going through and verifying, QCing this return. And this entire process is by best practice. The people who should be in here and working in our suite are people on the admin team who have traditionally handled assembly and delivery in the past. That's who should be in here almost all of the time. So somebody from that team would come in and just make sure information is correct. And so I'm going to open up this return real quick, and I'll go through just a brief processing stage here. This is what it looks like. This is not what clients see. This is still where you are at the point where you could do more. If you had your source documents ready and you wanted to send those back to your client, and you can do that right over in this attachments tab. If you have other documents that you want to get e-signed, if maybe an engagement letter hasn't been completed, you can add that in here, and we'll require that your clients sign it with their e-file forms. There are a lot of different things you can do. We do send you through a full training. You're comfortable using the program before you start. And there's only one thing that we need. We just need to know where to send the return. So for this one, obviously 1040 here, we have over on the right, I've got some taxpayer information, name through zip code, we're capturing from the return. Email address is the only requirement we have. And the email address is in here for the one that I just opened. It's here because I've sent to this client before. The very first year, an email address is manually entered by staff, and then it will be stored from then on. Now, the way a joint return works, and this is something we talked about as a common frustration early on, if you don't know both email addresses that first year, that is fine. The way a joint return works with our system is returns are sent out one at a time. So when this return is delivered, an email is going to go to either the primary or the spouse first. So that taxpayer is going to be able to access their return securely, review the return, and e-sign. And when they complete e-signing, our system will recognize that and immediately and automatically send a notification to the second signer or the spouse for them to go through the same process. What that sequential method allows for is if you don't happen to know both email addresses that first year, from then on it'll be stored, but that first year, we'll just require the person whose email address you do know that they enter their spouse's email address for you. So you will have both. And it is perfectly fine for your clients to share an email address. It's no bearing on anything we're doing. We communicate to your client in the email itself which email is for which of them, so they know that. But there's no requirement by the IRS stating that they have to have unique email addresses. They can share. They just need to have unique email notifications. Now, some of the other things that we do in here, I'm going to kind of jump through a few of these pretty quickly so we can see a few things. I'm moving over to the e-file tab. So these tabs are just showing you different things you can review or add or remove from the return. What we're doing with e-file forms, though, if I go to this tab, is we are recognizing all federal and state e-file forms, including FBARs, for all the return types I mentioned, for all the tax software we talked about. And we are also, on top of that, adding signature fields exactly where they need to be on every form for all taxpayers. We know where people need to sign this. You shouldn't have to drag and drop signature fields on all of these forms and worry about missing them. We'll pick up on them. We know where those need to go. You can also have a return signer signature in here too. Excuse me. So, which I mentioned earlier. We have an automatic reminder system in place for this. So in your firm account, you would create a default, letting the system know how many days, how often you want your client to be emailed a reminder. So if it's every 3 days, we will send your client an email every 3 days until they complete those e-file forms. And when those are completed, a notification goes back to the firm, to the person that you want it to go to, so that you know that those are complete and can be released. We have an automatic reminder for payments too. So I'm going to move over to this vouchers tab very quickly here. And in the vouchers section here, this is where all the V's and ES's will be listed. And for all of these, you can look at the information that's on each coupon, and you can see what we're capturing from those. No matter which one you go to, we've got that information over here. The way the reminder works is it is one email reminder for each of the quarterly due dates. Just tell us how many days before those due dates you want that to go out by default, and we'll handle sending your client an email. And from that email, or in that email, we'll tell your clients how many days they have left to make a payment and who they owe. And they can securely access their return right from that email. And those, and for estimates, when that information changes throughout the year, you can adjust them. So you can make changes so that your client only ever has access to the correct current information. If you have an invoice, whether that invoice is in the return, if so, we'll recognize it. Or if you're using a different program, like a practice management, practice CS, whatever it might be, as long as it's a PDF, you can include an invoice and have that presented to your client as well. And with the option of online pay, we'll show you what that looks like too. So I'm just pulling in a PDF. I'm going to deliver the return. That's it. That's what most clients are going through right there to get a return delivered to the point where the return can be delivered. And the way the delivery happens is in the lower right, there's a finish button. I'm going to click on that. I'll click deliver to client. I'll have this go to the primary first, so I just need to click send here and I'm done. That return is now headed for a report and the client's getting an email. And I'm going to move over to that email right now. So I have an organizer email ready to go from earlier so that we can take a look at that, provided we have time. And now I have the email about the return being ready. So this is the email that your client sees. It's all customizable, but we have things in place that you don't have to do any work. We put the name of the recipient in the subject line so that if it's a married filing joint return and your clients are sharing an email address, they know immediately which emails for which of them. Emails we send to your clients are branded. There's a link in this email. This is the link your clients will use to access their return for 7 years. We have storage for unlimited storage for 7 years. There's no additional cost for that at any point. Your clients can get into their returns using this link, and this link will be in every email we send your clients about this return. They can bookmark it. You can send them a new one. It takes 3 clicks. The way that clients access the returns securely from here, regardless of whether they are using on a smartphone or tablet, PC or Mac, when they click on the link, they're going to first be taken to an image of a tax folder. This is the experience that we want to replicate. It's the best possible way to go through a return with somebody. So from there, to actually get in securely, we use multi-factor authentication. So no accounts are created. That just causes problems and phone calls, and you don't need them. The first part of multi-factor authentication is where Jack here has to enter the last 4 of their SSN, click continue, and request an access code. So an access code is required anytime any taxpayer needs to get into their return, their organizer, their extension. That code can go out to their cell phones as a text, or it can go to their email. And your clients can both enter and maintain mobile number information. So you don't have to keep up with that. They can do it. So I'm going to put this code in here. And I know I'm going through some of this pretty quickly. We would love to show you a demo and slow this down a bit, but I want to make sure we get through a lot of this here. So I'm putting the code in and clicking continue. And now I'm taken to where the program really takes off. This is what clients always see first. So we show them, or we lead off with things that are most important to them: refunds, overpayments, payments due, estimated payments below that, and 3 steps in the middle. Just 3: review the return, sign e-file forms, manage payments. Not a lot of instructions here. They don't need them. That's a phone call you don't need to have. No matter what your client clicks on, they start in the same location. They can't jump around, and we take them through guided steps in order. So they'll first see a message from the firm. They'll then see an invoice if one has been included, and they can pay online right here. If you have an online payment processor, they can click continue and move into review. The review stage will take your clients through any transmittals or filing instructions they have, as well as their tax return and any attachments. All they have to do, regardless of what kind of device they use to access their return, is scroll. They can start downloading their return here. They can even securely forward a copy of their return onto a third party from this review stage, so they can decide without having to edit a PDF, what they want to send off to a bank or a mortgage lender or family member. They can do that right from there. And then they go to signing. And this is what signing looks like. Delegation can be set up so that if you're sending a return to a controller, they can delegate signing to the owner while they can continue along and review and distribute K1s or whatever they need to do. All return types that I've talked about that we can handle here can currently e-sign. Anybody can opt out. If this were an entity return and I click e-sign, I go right to my e-file forms and I start applying signatures. There's no knowledge-based authentication required for those. For 1040s, there is. And the way the process works with us is the first year your client goes through this, they're going to have to enter their date of birth. We do require that they always acknowledge that they've reviewed their return. They consent to e-signing. They can update spouse information here as well as other places. And then they go through a series of questions. These questions this is KBA, the IRS requirements. So 1040 taxpayers are required to go through a series of multiple choice questions that are unique to each of them. They need to get 3 out of 5 correct. They have 3 total attempts at the process. Our success rate through 7 tax seasons is over 97%. The next closest, I think, is around 85%. Most are between 60 and 85% for e-sign vendors. The reason ours is so high is we're set up for the tax and accounting industry. We know what you need to have in place to be compliant. So we don't ask questions that are more than 25 years old or about events that are more than 25 years old. And we never ask questions that are pulled from credit. It's all public database info. And then they can sign. And signing is about as simple as it can be. They decide what they want their signature to look like. We pull them right through this whole thing. So they sign exactly where they need to sign and only where they need to sign. And then they move along. And then for payments, the last thing that we send clients through, we'll take them through their tax payments and then their estimated payments. For estimated payments, you can see here quarterly due dates, total amount due. If there are multiple payments, we would break that down. So a box for each of those. And if there's a pay button in here, if it's not scheduled for auto withdrawal, which means that your client probably has options, the pay button will show them what options they have. For this, they can download filing instructions here. They can download that voucher, or they can click pay online, and we'll just send them right to that authority's website. We know where people need to go to make a payment. So whether it's Georgia, the IRS, whatever state it might be, we'll send them there. They can update this information. After they've made a payment, they can come in and update that, which is something we'll track for you. And as information changes throughout the year, estimates can be updated. So clients will only ever have access to, again, that correct information. This is what this client's return will look like now for 7 years. Anytime they come in here, they can manage payments, download documents. They could distribute K1s from here. And again, I know I went through that pretty quickly, but I wanted to make sure we saw some of that. Now, I'll kind of take a quick look at organizers, but then I'm going to come back here. So with organizers, very similar. The emails look the same. It's clicking on a link. Instead of a tax folder, it's an organizer envelope. Unsurprising, I hope. They'll request a code. And once they get the code in, I've got this one set up so that there is an engagement letter. So I'm going to put that code here. And when I click continue, this will be the steps for getting an organizer complete and back to you. Not much here. Anywhere they click first, they go into the engagement letter. You're going to get more of those back. They have to at least review it. And to go through and sign it, it's just a matter of typing in their name, drawing their signature if they want to, and applying it, and then clicking finish. And that's a document that comes back to the firm immediately, downloaded. You can download it right away. You can leave it in our system, whatever you need. And then your client can move into their organizer. And with organizers, if you wanted to use a custom questionnaire like this, it will appear before the rest of the organizer. But everything in here is fillable. And even when they go to the actual organizer coming out of CCH, in this case, it looks like everything's fillable. They can update information, which we'll highlight. They can add notes back to you. And on certain pages, we will prompt them to just upload documents here. So they can upload their W-2s right from here. And there it is. They can upload as many as they need. They can always save and continue later. If there's just too much going on in here for them, they can't finish, or they can mark it as finished. We'll pick them up right where they left off if they do save and continue. And there's one other button here on the main page here, and that's uploading additional documents. They can always come in and see what they've uploaded back to you. They can grab more documents. You will be notified every time. So there's a lot of robust reporting here that we are not going to look at today. I'd love to show it to you because you can help clients very quickly, almost immediately with firm-wide reporting. You can look at what clients are looking at immediately. You can request screen shares. You can recall returns for correction, and a lot of other things. Because of time, I want to make sure that we get back to what we need to see here. So I am going to pull this back in, and we're going to move into the final polling question.
And that is, are you interested in learning more about SafeSend returns and the SafeSend suite? A, yes. B, no. C, just want the CPA, no contact. Or D, not the right person.
And I want to make sure everybody understands how much we appreciate you being able to attend today. It really is a big deal to us that you took time to do this. Thank you. And if there's anything you need from us, we'd love to show you more information about the program, certainly. But let us know if there's anything that we can help you with. If you didn't get an answer to your question, expect one via email shortly.
Thanks, Joe, for the great presentation. It was excellent. And thank you all so much for attending today's webinar. And thank you to SafeSend for making this event possible and enabling us to offer a free CPE credit to each attendee. You will now be presented with an optional post-event survey, which will appear on your screen momentarily. Then you will receive your CPE certificate in your email inbox. Look for a message from CPA Practice Advisor. As I mentioned earlier, the webcast also qualifies for IRS CE credit. If you need to receive CE credit for this event, you will find a place on the post-event evaluation form where you can enter your preparer tax identification number. The number you enter will be associated with the name and email address you use to register for this event. If there are additional people at your place of business who watch the webcast with you and who need to receive either CPE or CE credit or both, you can send their names, email addresses, and preparer tax identification numbers to editors@cpapracticeadvisor.com. Should you have any questions about CPE, please also contact us at editors@cpapracticeadvisor.com. And that's editors with an S. Thanks everyone for attending today's webcast. Our audio will end now.